Good to have Shabbos, everyone. Parshas Balak. Today is also the 15th of the month of Tammuz. Tesvav Tammuz is the yard site of the holy Or HaChaim HaKadosh, famous author of the Pirush and Chumash, great giant of his time, lived in the times of Baal Shem Tov, buried here in Yerushalayim on Har Zeisim. May he be a true advocate for everyone, the Tov, for good things, for Refuas, Yeshuas, Hatzlacha. And we also, Shabbos, following Yud Beis Gimel Tammuz and Shabbos leading up to the 3 weeks, we should Yahavchu Yom Meilu, that these days should not be days of fasting or days of mourning, but days of Simcha with the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu. The Parshas Balak, like we talk about every year, is a parsha loaded with brachas, the blessings that Bilam Harasha, Bilam the wicked, the prophet of the nations, blessed the Jewish people 3 times, and the 4th time when he said the prophecy at the end, the famous, like the Rambam says, that this the prophecy of Bilam is full of verses and prophecies about Mashiach. And we know that the Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people, just fought a war against our great enemy Iran, and they named the war from a verse of this week's parsha, kלביא, כלביא, יקום, like a young lion. And like we learned today in the Sikha, the Rebbe says that there's 2 pirushim, there's 2 explanations about how we view this young lion. Is a young lion meaning to say young that grows into an older, mature lion in strength, grows in strength, or we're talking about the strength of youth, the young lion that's full of energy, and a kind of when he ages, he's losing, so to say, steam. So the Baal Turim says we're going from light to heavy, but the Rebbe quotes the Zohar that says no, that the kלביא is the tokef yoser, is the great strength, because when you have the long game, when you're looking forward, so then you have to pace yourself, like you're going on a marathon, you can't use all your energy right away. But now we're holding, like the Baal Shem Tov says, that the 42 travels of the desert are the 42 travels of the Jewish people in history. And right now we're holding Al Yardin Yericha, exactly as the Jewish people were before they entered the land. We're mamish holding this week's parsha, where the Jewish people have fought the wars, they're ready mamish to go into Eretz Yisrael. And like in the time of Yetzias Mitzrayim, in the generation of the desert before we went into Eretz Yisrael, we had the Balaks and the Bilams of the world. Balak represents the king of Moab. It says Vayagar Moab, that they were scared of the Jewish people. And here you had Bilam Harasha, who had nothing to lose. No one was bothering Bilam. He lived somewhere else. He lived out of Midian. But nevertheless, and he wasn't a king, he didn't represent a nation, but he had a tremendous hate for the Jewish people. We know that Bilam, the Gemara in Sanhedrin tells us, is a mishpacha, his family. He's either a son or a grandson of Lavan. So he's Rivka's relative, and he's the Jewish people's, he's Rachel and Leah's relative, which means he's the Jewish people's relative, and he hates the Jewish people, and he wants to curse the Jewish people, but the Hashem forces him to bless the Jewish people. And similar to the time he's living now, their narrative out there, the anti-Semitism out there, whether it's the anti-Semitism of Balak, the hate of, or the fear of Balak, or the hate of Bilam, that we're holding those times. And just like in the times of before we went to Eretz Yisrael, we have to make sure that we transform. Hashem doesn't listen to the negative narrative, like it says, of the nations, and blesses the Jewish people. And the blessings we have are Matov Lach Yaakov. We spoke about the strength of Yisrael and the strength of Yaakov, the idea of the avodah that we engage, and the idea of the avodah that's beyond engaging, the idea of Yisrael, Kisarisa Melikim, you master over the limitations of the name of Hashem, which is Elikim, of nature. So we're holding this time now, but we can't drop the ball. And like the Rebbe says, when you're holding at the end, and you need that last force, you have to be like a kלביא with strength, a young lion that's running forward, moving forward. We have to push over the ball, over the yard line, getting it into the final play. We have to use all our strength, all our strategy. The Rebbe coined in 1950, the Rebbe spoke that the shtusim, the foolishness that we end off in this week's parsha about Vayeshev Yisrael Beshitim, and we were fools beneath ourselves. We lowered ourselves to the stories of the daughters of Midian. So we have to, the Rebbe says, we have to transform the foolishness of the world to be fools for God. The shtus to kedusha, and that's to use all our force to get into Mashiach. But we can't drop the ball like we did last time. We can't fall for the shtusim of the world. There's a narrative out there. There's fear out there. There's hate out there. We have to stay focused. We have to know that Hine Mashiach ba, Mashiach is coming, and we have to make sure we get the job done. And if it means that we can't use our logic and we have to be a fool, make sure we're not a fool beneath ourselves, but we're a fool for God. A shtus l'mayla min haseichel. and we be Zoicha with the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu with all the brachas. Bilam wanted to curse the Jewish people. The Gemara in Sanhedrin says that actually they decide for the curse about the yeshivas and the Beis Medrash. So a lot of the curses ended up happening, unfortunately. But now we're all past that. Now it's time for Geula, for redemption, for Yeshuas, and we be Zoichet Haka that we should, like we said, Yahavchu Yamim Melu. These days should be days of Simcha, continued miracles. No more death, no more soldiers dying, no more pain. With the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu b'meher v'yameinu. Good Shabbos.